What's up, Dr. Joey? All right, we're just giving a couple of minutes to let everybody join us. Oh, good to hear. Well, wait till you hear me talk about why we should give. I haven't been able to talk about precious metals. What's up, dude, Dave? There's a reason for it, but now I'm going to be able to talk about it a whole lot more. And there's a lot, a lot that people need to be waking up to. So stacking precious metals. Um, I've been doing it for years. I remember back in 2015, I started telling Facebook, and when I got on YouTube, I pushed it hardcore, and then about it for a while, and then but now just give a couple minutes, you guys. It's been a real crazy couple of weeks, that's for sure. Give me a second. I'm gonna put this on Twitter as well. Give me just a second here. All right, there we go. 1,000 ounces. That's nice. That's a nice little stack there. I'm glad that I was able to encourage you to invest in. I don't know if you guys remember me talking about a lady and her 3 kids. The last time I spoke to her, remember the little kids were 11, 9, and 7, and her daughter's in the middle. And she was listening to me on her little headset. And the mom thought she'd been too quiet. And she was like, "What are you doing?" She says, "I'm listening to Pimpy." And her mother's like, "What the hell? What are you listening to?" And she let her listen. And she heard me talking about precious metals. And so she took that opportunity to talk to her kids about it. And then, the kids were excited. They wanted to start collecting precious metals, is what they did. And they did. She used that. You know what I mean? She used that to motivate the kids to go to school, to do chores and stuff like that. And they've been going strong now for, oh gosh, 2 years. And I think I talked to them last time was about 4 months ago. And the kids, I think, were somewhere around 5,000 ounces every day. She said every day, like clockwork, they run around the neighborhood, helps them collect, aluminum cans and all kinds of other things. They do yard work and, stuff, and they're young, so they've been earning the money to buy precious metals, and that's always exciting to hear. So they're doing pretty good. So they have, once they get, when she's telling me about when when you first get your order, the first time you ever get in your hand, a silver coin, that feeling, you know, silver for me in gold. Don't get me wrong, I like gold, but there's something about silver. There's something about silver when you hold it. And she said the first time they got their order there, and they were looking at the silver coin, they bought the silver eagles. She said they were hooked right away. You know, Pimple Scott on Ninja Vlog says that he knows you drink too much. I told him to ask you in reality. Scott on Ninja Vlogs, he knows I drink too much. Yeah, not as much as I used to. I mean, I drink, but it's a drastic cutback. You know what I mean? Way drastic. So yeah, you definitely uh, cut back, and little by little, I just keep doing it. It's not easy, especially if you've been drinking damn near your whole life. And I literally been drinking since I was 9 years old. So it's been a part of my life for a long time. It's a part of our family's life. My father was alcoholic. His father was alcoholic, but we're called functioning alcoholics. We could be shit faced drunk standing in front of you, and you'd never know. It's just how it is. Moonbug, what's not happening? Jules, what's up, Jules? I know. I think it's interesting that I've been informing people about the Iraqi dinar, and people are like, "He's so negative." I'm like, "What the hell is so negative? It's not negative. It's just reality." So if I tell you guys the truth and what you should be looking for, I'm negative. To me, that's not negative. That's just being informed. Oh, is it doing that again? Sound is going in and out. I don't know why it does that. So TNT Tony says it's going to happen over the weekend. Yeah, they all said that. What happened to? Oh, it's going to happen once the budget's out. It's going to happen when the beginning of the year comes out. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you guys. The truth of the matter is, you don't want it to be reinstated at 322. I'm telling you right now, you do not want the dinar to reinstate at 322. And the reason for that is, if it's reinstated at 322, was that people just want you to tickle their ears. Yeah, this is the wrong channel for that. I don't pull my wand out of my ass and sprinkle unicorn pixie dust on you. That's not this channel. This is the reality channel. But it's also the one that says stay grounded. I'm glad a lot of people really enjoyed the videos that I've been making recently, kind of walking you through and educating you on things we should be looking at. You know what I mean? It helps when I do that. Good. Good, good, good. Okay, so let me explain why you don't want the 322 rate. I mean, I know people are still, I guess let's wait a few more minutes and more people come on, and I'll explain why you don't want the 322 rate. Trust me when I tell you this. After I inform you guys why, you're going to say the same thing. It's going to go up. Don't get me wrong. That's what I've been saying. But you don't want it to come out at a 322 rate. Okay. When I explain it to you, you'll understand why. But right now, man, I'm looking at all these crazy numbers. People are like, "Oh, Pimpy, look at the stock markets at record highs." I'm like, "Man, dude, you guys got to stop learning to stop believing what you're seeing. Understand that there's a much, much bigger agenda out there, you guys. And this isn't scare porn or a scare tactic. This is reality." You know, they're asking me about cryptos again because a lot of people, when I did my stock watch, I told you there was a window of opportunity and people did pretty good. I mean, some people way better than others. I told you guys, my friend, I think because just on 10,000 on JM alone, if you guys remember, you made a $290,000 profit in just 9 months had you invested when I spoke about it. So yeah, and then the funny thing is, I actually pulled out of that market months in which it continued to decline, but that's just it. You don't want to risk it. Don't do that. Be happy about what you got. Don't look back, because if you start second guessing yourself, that's how you lose money. Okay. But gold and silver, there's a reason behind it. You want to physically own it and have it. You want everything out of the system. And the more I watch the news and the more I listen to people, the more I realize that I'm absolutely right when it comes to that. People going, "Oh, I thought you said the market's going to crash." It's crashing. Okay, it's going to crash. There is no ifs and buts about it. The dollar is going to crash. The economies around the world are going to crash. This isn't hyperbolic. This is fear born. This is a reality. Everything that you see right now is just BS. Okay, now all of it's a lie. They're just lying on the numbers. It's election time, you guys. You got the power all on the numbers. Don't believe them. Inflation is wrong. Unemployment is wrong. As a matter of fact, what was just in the news? Here it is. So most people don't even realize this happened. You got Biden out there. Oh, the job numbers, but they just had to do their adjustments for the year. It says initial U.S. employment reports overstated by 439,000 jobs in 2023. How do you overstate that many jobs unless you're trying to purposely mislead people? So when the job numbers are good, the news, they all jump up and down, they report it, they love it. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they make the adjustment quietly towards the end of the year. So, but here's the thing that people should be tripping out on. It's still breaking up. That's weird. I don't know why it does this. And I don't know if there's anything I could do to fix that. Um, 8.7 million Americans, a record high. So 8.7 million Americans now hold multiple jobs. That's terrible. In just the last few decades, we went from having single income families and being able to afford it That ad thing just went by, and I'm wondering if that was messing with my volume. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. So, anyways, all the numbers are BS. You can't trust any of them. So I'm going to leave a link down below in the description for you guys to go see if you haven't seen yet. It's called The Great Taking. It's a documentary that came out by Webb. Man, he's telling you what these people are trying to do. And I've been preaching this now for years. And if you guys have been listening to me for years, I've been telling you, I don't trust Bitcoin or any cryptocurrencies because they want you to get in there. And what do? When a lot of you invest in it and it starts to really rise up and it gets a lot of hype, people drop their money into cryptocurrencies, right? And then all of a sudden it drops. Boom. These guys all sell their cryptos. They made their profit. And they wait for it to bottom, it loses 28, 30%. And then they turn around and buy back into it. And it goes back up. People get all hyped up. You dump your money in there. This is, yeah, pump and dump is right. But this pump and dump has an agenda. They're trying to, in order for them to get you to accept this new world order movement by the World Economic Forum, in order for them to get you to accept all of the policies that you are suffering, you got to feel the pain, you got to feel the suffering. It's starting to become a revolt against it. People are waking up. So in this whole globalization, really start to panic because it's falling apart. It isn't going as smoothly as they thought. But their biggest fear right now is Trump getting back in office. And every day that's looking more and more realistic. When you got people from the hood talking about how they're backing Trump and they're inviting Trump out to the barbecue and they're calling him Unc, and now you got to make it a rap songs about Trump that's positive, and you got them coming out on the news and supporting Trump live, that means the minority vote has shifted away from the Democrats. It is now, not that it's going Republican, but it's going towards Trump. And that's a big, big move. But there's a fear that, Trump's going to go in there and end this crap real quick. So we'll see. They can't make this move globally without the United States. They just can't. So this is why you're seeing all this crap happening. Really, 91 charges against Trump in 5 different cases. He just lost the E.D. Carroll today on something that happened 20 years ago. He changed the statutory limitations on that case just so they could go after Trump. $73 million. $73 million. And what is Trump paying $73 million for? Because this lady accused him of SA. He was found innocent. And she continued to. And then George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's husband, financed this woman to come back in and try to sue him after they changed the law. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're just trying to take as much money from him as possible. And he got all these corrupt judges that he's dealing with. I don't know if you guys are paying attention to that, what's going on over there in Georgia, but that case is crap. You have the judge in there doing the job of the prosecutor. He interferes, questions. Look, anybody with half a brain, you don't even have to know anything about law. If you just watch these court procedures, you could tell without a doubt that it's just rigged. It's really bad. Was it 83 million? Yeah. Just appeal it. All these cases, there's no doubt if it's a judge, if they're in a Democratic held place, they're going to. What's going to happen is he'll appeal them all and he'll win. But until then, they're just going to keep dragging him into court. Now Arizona's talking about taking him to court. They just want. And if that don't work, then they want to find a way to bankrupt them. And that's why all Americans, it doesn't make a difference if you hate Trump or not. You should be disgusted by what you're seeing. So because of that, that's these people trying to make sure that this agenda continues to push forward. Look at Texas right now at the border. Standoff with the feds. This is crazy. We're talking about possibility of a civil war. And that's not far off. Any war situation that we go into, any kind of attack on America, and if you guys missed this, some reporter was talking to an individual coming across the border. I don't know if you guys see this, but that guy said, I guess they're going back and forth, and that guy said, "Oh yeah," he goes, "Do you know who I am?" And the reporter said, "No." He goes, "Yeah, they're a freaking reporter." And it's the reporter caught him on tape while they were talking. You know what I mean? I'm like, why is this guy in our country? And then he told that guy, "You're going to find out real soon." Well, what do you have planned? Why would we find out who you are? What is really going on? Why are we opening the borders and allowing now cartels are operating in all 50 states? Did you guys hear the leak tape from Carrie Lake? When she said, "What are you guys gonna do? Kill me?" She started laughing. The guy says, "Well, the cartel is operating in all 50 states." I was like, how did everybody miss that? Why would he answer with this cartel in all 50 states? So do these people have the ability to use the cartel against their political enemies? I mean, that's stuff you got to watch for. And if all this is happening and this attack happens in our country, then you're looking at a cog, and that's not what we want. And for those who don't know what a cog is, that's a continuity of a government, the continuation of government. If we go into a cog, you could get rid of the elections, because if the cog protocol states that we don't elect a president, they do. They just pick who they want, and that person stays as our president. All elections, all constitution is suspended. So we don't want that. So yeah, with everything going on, their goal is to bankrupt the crap right out of as many people as possible. They're sending billions and billions of dollars all around the world, but we got tons of homeless people here that are not doing anything to help whatsoever. All right, so I'll just go ahead and explain to you why you don't want the dinar to come out at a 322 rate. Okay. So if the dinar is going to be reinstated at 322, I know now what's going to happen. Before they do that, they're going to do the deletion of the zeros, which has nothing whatsoever to do with the exchange rate. They're going to delete the zeros. They're going to redenominate the currency. That means your 25,000 dinar is going to become 25. After they redenominate, then they'll do the reinstatement of the rate. See what I'm saying? We don't want that. If they go up in increments, there's no hurry. We can, so the new exchange rate dinars, and that's what you want. All right. Seems to me we're already in the cog. It's sure how it seems like it. Seriously. I'm happy to see more and more people have now switched. They're like, no, we don't want nothing to do with this. I don't know if you guys heard the speech from the Argentina president over. And if this happens in America, this is bad for the world. Change. No, if I was over there, I'd tell them to do it strategically, man. We really, no, you don't want a LOP. Okay, you guys, a LOP is the same as a redenomination. And I don't know why these guys are, telling you or misleading you and believing that the deletion of the zeros has to do with the exchange rate. I've made plenty of videos to proof that it has nothing whatsoever to do with the exchange rate. I'm saying to you that we don't want to do the deletion of the zeros and then have them reinstate the rate. So can you imagine if your 25,000 dinar now becomes just 25, and then all of a sudden they reinstate the 322 rate? You're not getting millions, not at all. So if they go up in small increments, then you go along for the ride. Your currency, you'll still have the dinar that we have now. The increase in the dinar affects that the increase in the exchange rate affects that dinar. That's the one we wanted to affect, is the ones that we have now. We don't want them to lop or delete the zeros. Okay. So our connection to be crappy. Yeah, I'm not sure. The funny thing is when I listen to Ron, it sounds, clear. I don't hear any, issues with sound. So I'm not sure what we're doing at. Sounds like a great show too. I can't hear it. Yeah, sorry you guys. I don't know what causes it. Or so I have to talk to one of my tech friends and see if they can out. But like I said, we don't want and I'll repeat this in the video later on. We don't want them to delete the zeros, not yet, because if they do that, then they might give it a huge exchange rate, and you're not going to get millions. Okay, think about it. Take all the dinars that you have, total them up, take off 3 zeros, however much is left over, then multiply that times $3.22. That's what you would get. If it goes up in increments, let's say it goes up 10%, why you just earn 10% on your investment? Then a little bit later on, it goes up another 5%, then another 10%. and they're not lopping off the zeros, that's definitely what you want. That's why I keep saying it's going to go up in increments. I definitely don't want them to take the zeros off and then reinstate the huge rate. You're not going to benefit from it. Okay. I hope that makes sense. So we're not really rooting for a 322 rate. We don't want a huge one. And all this crap about how they can't do all these projects with the current rate is just bullshit. For 20 years now, you guys, 20 years they've been doing projects with that exchange already started. So it's already starting. Okay. Iraq, their budget is the cost of the projects are already fixed to the budget. It's already baked in the budget, you guys. You know, we think you need to sit there and make the mud huts all day long and going, oh, we can't do anything. Why? Because we don't got a good exchange rate. So I guess our buildings go to crap, our roads go to crap. You know, we don't do anything. We just sit here with our thumbs up our butt. No. Okay. There goes that acting again. And I noticed that when you say you have trouble hearing is the acting pops up on the bottom and it's getting ready to end right now. So hopefully that fixes it once it's done. But yeah, you know, I just can't imagine them. I mean, if people just take a step back and start talking about, you'll figure it out. With the current exchange rate, that's just BS. All this, I did a video showing you guys, not only is that not true, but the funny thing is they keep saying they can't go in with a program rate. Well, the organization says all program rate is what regime are they taking? What are they doing? Is it a fixed? Is it flexible? Does it float? I mean, is it, you know, that's what they're talking about. That's what a program rate is. You know what I mean? Yep. Still, some of you guys say it's bad. I don't know what's going on, but we'll see. What's my take on the Vietnam Dong? You know, I talked about that and people didn't like it. Vietnam is not on any kind of sanctions. There's nothing going on with them. There's a ton of corruption there. I mean, their corruption is way bad. I mean, even worse than Iraq. And that's because in Iraq, the government that controls Iraq is the same group of people, and they have been for 20 years. So, you know, theirs is centralized. Okay. People and bankers inside their central bank, the politicians, they just arrested a whole bunch of them for a huge scheme that they're running. They just set up all these shell corporations and stole like 3% of their GDP, which is huge, man. So as far as the currency is concerned, until they get rid of the corrupt government, they're really going to have a hard time, you know, improving their currencies. Okay, so look at it this way: these politicians get paid in U.S. dollars. Okay, U.S. dollars. Then they take those U.S. dollars, convert them into the Vietnam Dong, and the conversion is huge for them. They make a lot of money that way. They don't get paid in Vietnam Dong; they get paid in U.S. dollars. And so, you know, the fact that the money that they're making, once they convert it, makes them like super rich. There's no incentive for them to want to change. Not to mention that Vietnam is mostly an export country. So in order for them to be competitive, they're not going to want to change the exchange rate no time soon. You know what I mean? So it would be comical if they did eliminate the zeros and people here would have to figure out how to get the new currencies. Oh, you know, I was trying to reach out to Exchange of America and ask them about that. You know what I mean? Can we send our old currency back and exchange it for the new? I'm going to go out on a limb and expect them to want to charge us some kind of fee to do that. You know what I mean? That's a good question. Yeah, let me see what I can find out, and I'll definitely let you guys know. I've been watching Vietnam, Indonesia, all of them are running into the same kind of issue. And that is a lot of American companies moved over into those countries for a reason. Their currencies are cheap. And so the labor cost is cheap, the production cost is cheap. You know, so they benefit economically from our country, from our companies being over there. So it doesn't seem like there should be it doesn't seem like there's any incentive for them to want to increase their, the value of their exchange rate. I'm not saying that they don't have the ability to do it. They do, but we have a very, if you think about all these corporations, how powerful they become to the point now where they're trying to take over a country and turn it into this socialist world economic form crap. These people have enough money that they influence the government. I mean, oh, we hate communists and you know what I mean? Having said that, people have become so rich, elections everywhere, and they push a policy that they want to get wrong. And that's why they move in these countries and manufacture things and produce things over there and then ship them over here where they charge an arm and a leg. So it's kind of hard to, because of where we are in the market, because of everything that's going on, and now we're in election season, you guys. Somebody asked me about Bitcoin in Argentina and El Salvador, and I was like, something that a lot of people aren't talking about. You guys remember when the IMF told Argentina, well, all of a sudden, their economy has stabilized, and it's been doing very good, all because of the move into Bitcoin. Now, Argentina is talking about doing that. Use this as an excuse to strip your money away. There's a much, much bigger thing going on. So in a way, the unemployment numbers were overstated by 439,000 in 2023. So in other words, they lied to us, but they do this quietly so people don't pay attention. You got Biden jabbing at Trump over the stock market numbers. They're record high. The Biden notes that record high stock market numbers after Trump's prediction that it would crash. It should have crashed. That's why a lot of these indicators that we see, especially when it comes to the value of gold and silver, especially when it comes to our economy, all the indicators that people use to make their move with their money in investments are all off. They don't make no sense. So here we are, job number, we're becoming unemployment. More people are poor or not even on unemployment anymore. Their benefits have run out, and they don't count those numbers, by the way. That's the same thing Obama did. So don't count them as unemployed. They count them as employed. So Obama did it. He's doing it here in his third term. What you want to look at is go look at the job participation rate. That's what you want to see. Look at the number of Americans we have that are between that right age to do jobs, and go look at the job participation. That's the right measurement right there. But the stock market, who has the money to buy stock? A lot of institutions are buying these, but not average Joe and Joan. And it's going to continue to go up. The stock market will go up this next year, all the way up into past the summer. So there's an opportunity for you guys to grab some money there. Cryptocurrencies are going to do the same thing. They're going to get everybody all hyped up on these things. And then right before election, you're going to see things change, because right now they got to do whatever it takes to make Biden look good. They're going to make this mad push. So my guess is sometime around May, they're going to kick Biden out, and then you're going to see Michelle Obama start to run. So get ready for that. Another 2 terms of Barack Obama. That'd be 5 altogether. He's already doing a great job of destroying this country. So yeah, gold and silver, you definitely want to be in. I've been telling people that for a long time. Exchange the old ones for the new ones. It would be a mess here for the holders. Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the dinar, like everybody around the world is holding it. First of all, the average dinar investor only has about 250,000 dinars. Yeah, that is the average, by the way, 250,000. As far as how many people have it, it's hard to say. The only reason why we feel like a lot of people have it is because we all talk to the same groups of people. It just appears to us that there's a lot. Okay. And I'm not saying there's not. I'm just saying there's probably not as many people as you think. My campaigning for Don Juan, huh? See, here's the thing. I think he's the right guy. Look, I was listening to Louis Farrakhan, and he said the perfect thing about Trump. He said, Trump is the right man at this time because we are in the days of evil and that God put him there. And I was like, yep, I feel you. He goes, he's the right man. He knows exactly how to deal with everything that's going on. And look at the hell they're putting this guy through. Him and his family. A barrage of negative news since he ran. They've been attacking him, going after his empire. Did you know that Trump is the only president to do a term and not come out of the White House richer than when he started? he actually lost millions of dollars. So that's because he isn't corrupt as much as people want to believe that they're not. It's like this whole Epstein log thing, right? People's like, oh, Trump's name's in there. Trump's name's in there. I go, yeah, what about it? We all know the story, but that doesn't mean he did anything. So I want you to think about this. You think that if Trump did something, that would not have came out by now? Are you nuts? 17 intelligence agencies been investigating this guy for years. They they climbed through his ass with a fine tooth comb, and they can't find anything that they have to fabricate crimes. This is crazy. So yeah, very crazy. Found guilty by a jury of his peers. Yeah, that wasn't a jury of his peers. That's for sure. That's a lopsided, hand-picked jury, just like everything else. So nothing's going to happen. He'll fight it and he'll win all these cases. Whatever cases he does lose, he'll win in court. He'll win in the appeals court. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, Trump's easily the most popular president we ever had. So don't listen to the news. That's just bullshit. Um, and if you thought he was more popular last time, and it's going to be way higher this time. They're talking about 20% of the minority vote has shifted to Trump. So of course there's a lot of panic in DC. There's a lot of panic to these, you know, World Economic Forums because globalization is not the right answer. Okay. So a perfect case for, I was just talking about this. Give me a second. So look at this. You guys remember our credit rating for the United States, the Fitch rating was downgraded. Okay. And U.S. Treasury has a sizable borrowing need. So the spotlight was put on our fiscal outlook. So the downgrade to the U.S. credit rating, it has immediate and long-term consequences. So, you know, it's going to cost us more money just to borrow. The downgrade leads to a rise in U.S. borrowing costs as investors demand higher returns to compensate for the increased risk associated with holding U.S. debt. Okay. The stock market. The downgrade causes significant volatility in global stock markets as investors reassess the risk associated with holding U.S. assets and are about to, and they're concerned about our economy, especially since they still have not. We're talking about a globe, not us. The global economy is still struggling from 2008. So, in my opinion, this downgrade in our credit rating makes a great case for why we shouldn't globalize because it affects the entire global community, okay, in a hard way. So, I can't help but feel like that's definitely done on purpose. You know what I mean? Got a question for me? If Trump couldn't borrow a penny from any bank in the 80s, who said he couldn't borrow any money? Who said Trump couldn't borrow any money? He had money. Good Lord. Who co-signed for him to get a loan? Nobody did. Yeah, he did go to Deutsche Bank, but I'm not sure what that has to do with anything. Anyways, you guys, so yeah, the dinar, we don't want it to go up. We don't want it to have a reinstated rate of 322. You want it to go up in increments. This way, there's no push or rush or panic for us to try to find the new currency. Not only that, like I said, they'll redenominate before they change the exchange rate. And I know everybody's out there, they're all excited. Yeah, we want to lop off the zeros. Why? All that does is change the currency. It doesn't change the exchange rate at all. Okay. So I made plenty of videos. Now I've even challenged those guys lying to you. I've challenged them. And I said, I'm going to show you guys proof of what I'm saying. And then I challenge them to do the same. They won't do it. They haven't been able to show you any documentation that the lopping of the zeros or the deletion of the zeros is changing the exchange rate because they're two different things. Okay. Starting at 45 cents, good place? No, no, not that high. Not net. Look, if over the years they're going up 10%, 15%, 10%, you know what I mean? They're going up like that. That's still a good chunk of return. Not as fast as you'd want it. But then, you know, you just keep holding on to it, you know, you'll know when the time's right, then cash it in. But once it gets to a certain point, they're definitely going to delete the zeros. You know what I mean? Speak for yourself. Yeah, I would love to delete the zeros And then, yeah, I would love for a 322 rate to be reinstated without the deletion of the zeros. So the best scenario for us is that they reinstate the 322 rate without lopping off the zeros. That would be perfect for us right there, you guys. Perfect. Okay. But what is the reality of that? I mean, I've made cases going back and forth. I mean, I look at it from all different angles. You know what I mean? If you had to sell your dinar today, where would you go, Pimpy? I'd probably go to Exchange of America and just sell it back to them, right? Or find a bank that's accepting it right now. I think Chase Bank will allow you to buy and sell there, but that's just different at different locations. So just call around or just Google who is accepting the dinar right now. So Vietnam is a concern for me. Their government is so super corrupt, so corrupt. But not just that, also their central bank is corrupt. So they team up together, okay, and they do corruption. So I'm concerned about Vietnam. Although their economy is thriving, it has been. They've been doing wonderful for 30 years. And look at their currencies, crap. You know what I mean? You can't revalue hyperinflation currency. Well, I mean, you can't. You can revalue it. We've seen them already revalue. You mean you can't get a huge increase in the value with a hyperinflation currency? That's different. You know what I mean? Pimpy, using other countries' currency that has the same GDP. You know, I was listening to these Wananabe documentary on the Wananabe ladies over there in China. They would find foreign currencies that they could borrow against with the lower interest rates and then invested into countries that had a higher return. And these people made millions. And so it was a good strategy. Very interesting to watch. I try to post it on the Pimpy's News Network so you guys can check it out. But I just took it down recently. So yeah, you want me to do another video with Kyle, huh? Oh my gosh. And my friend said, dude, if you listen to these other gurus, you're not the most popular person out there. I go, yeah, that's why they call me the bad boy of the dinar community. You know what I mean? How did Kuwait do it? When Senator Bush crime family got rich. Okay, so you guys you're conflating two different stories. The Kuwait situation is not the same, and I know these gurus do this. I mean, I fell for that too in the beginning. I made a comparison, but then after you analyze it, you got to understand something. So Kuwait, when they were invaded and we devalued their currency, but their normal everyday situation was still going on for the most part. The economy was still moving. Um, so it was only like 6 or 7 months that the currency was devalued. So when it was reinstated, there was no reason for them to change the exchange rate. None at all. They redenominated, they created new currency because their old currency was stolen. So they have their new currency and then they reinstated the rate. It's been 20 years and counting that Iraq has been going through this. And the sanctions killed them. They have to, one of the biggest things that can help Iraq is get back on the SWIFT system. But you see, every time they get ready to get there, then what happens? Now we're dealing with conflict. What did I say we wanted to avoid? Conflict. You have Turkey, Iran, bombing targets inside Iraq. Are you serious? Then you have America bombing targets inside Iraq. So Iran is using Iraq as a battleground, which this is what they do. And then you end up involving Iraq in a situation. So I feel sorry for the Iraqi people. I do, because they're in a situation at no fault of their own. You know what I mean? Yeah, Kuwait and Iraq are like comparing apples and oranges. They're both fruit, but two different flavors. So yeah, with Kuwait, their situation was different. Their devaluation wasn't very long. So when they were so even though they were had been invaded, it's not like everybody's hiding in their homes all day long. They were still going out and doing things, and so the economy was moving along. It Don't get me wrong, it had a negative effect on the economy a little bit, but it wasn't that bad. And so once they got Iraq out of there, and a couple months later, they had already redenominated, created a new currency, and got their exchange rate reinstated. You know what I mean? So Kuwait is different in Iraq when it comes to value in this way. Kuwait has what they call a wealth fund. Okay, they have a wealth fund. They take that money and they have some of the best investors in the world. They take that money and they are invested in all kinds of things around the world. So the extra money that they get from oil sales, they're diversified. So even if oil price, and 90% of their budget comes from oil sales, but if oil takes a hit, it's not like Kuwait's going to suffer like Iraq would because their wealth fund is very well invested. And if you guys remember, they're just now talking about creating a wealth fund for Iraq. So they don't have that to fall back on. You know what I mean? There was also no 25,000 or $10,000 bills in Kuwait. Yeah, so there was no inflated currency, like you said, Ferrari boy. They didn't have any added zeros to the currency because their situation was very temporary. So once they went back in, they just went from one currency to another. There was no inflated currencies where you add a bunch of zeros. That's the difference between Iraq and Iran. Plus, Kuwait. I mean, that's the difference between Kuwait and Iraq. Plus, Kuwait has a wealth fund. You know what I mean? So they have that as a cushion. So even if oil prices drop, they can fall back on their fund to hold them over. Okay. Hey, Pimpy, did you listen to the bank story with the lady of Chase that they would not take 25,000 dinar notes, but they would exchange her? Oh, so if Chase is willing to exchange our currencies if they redenominate, that's good. So there you go, you guys. It sounds to me like Chase is one of the banks um, that would exchange the old currency for the new one. That just makes sense. The great wealth transfer, not just that, but also what is it? The great, what is that? The great take, that documentary just came out. I'll leave a link for that down in the video, you guys. What's the total flow of dinars outside of Iraq? There's no outside inside, you guys. I know they keep saying that it's different in Iraq than it is out there. No, no such thing. Whatever happens to the dinar happens inside and out. Period. Okay. So whoever's talking about that is lying. That doesn't make sense. That's just crap that they tell you. But as far as a floating rate, what is a floating rate? There's different types of floating rates, but a floating rate, in order for them to be on the forex, is when you allow the market to determine the exchange rate value of the Iraqi dinar. There's no interference from the government. It's not fixed like it is now. It floats freely. Okay. That's a floating exchange rate. You have a managed or dirty float, which is when they allow the market to determine the value of the Iraqi dinar's exchange rate, but the government wants to keep it within a range. So if it goes too far one way or the other, then they will interfere with the market. That's a managed or dirty float. And a fixed is where we are now, 1,320 dinars for every dollar. That's fixed. Pimpy is a simple line BS story. Yeah, that's what they do all the time, you guys. Inside Iraq, there's a different rate. Does that make sense? So let me put it to you in another way that hopefully you can understand. So they're trying to tell you that the exchange rate is different in country versus out. If that was the case, let's pretend like in country, all of a sudden, and besides, it's not like Iraqi people grab their currency and run down to the bank and exchange their own currency for more of their own currency. You know what I mean? So they don't care about the exchange rate. Okay. It doesn't affect them because they're not doing trade internationally. How it affects them is inflation. That's why it's important to watch inflation. So is their food prices dropping or are they increasing? They're not running around holding on to dinars talking about how rich they're going to get. That doesn't make no sense. Okay. So, but let's just say for the sake of it, that's what's happening. Does it make sense that the exchange rate in the country is different than out of the country? Either way, let's say one of us gets a 322 rate. Let's say Iraq in country, there's an exchange rate of 322. Every time they change in their own money, they get $3 and or yeah, they get $3.22 for every one of their Iraqi dinars. But outside the country, we're still sitting at 1,320 dinars for every dollar. What's to keep them from cashing in country, getting American dollars, running out of the country, buying Iraqi dinar, tons of them, coming back into the country, exchanging it, and getting rich that way? That's why there's no in country, out of country. The exchange rate is the same worldwide, period. It's compared against a dollar because most currencies, when they're talking about pairing, it's usually against the dollar because the dollar is a reserve dollar. That's why they do it. American embassy stops visas for Iraqis. Yeah, Look, we all agree Iraq is on the right track, and they appear to be doing all the right things. Inflation is right in the sweet spot. Okay. It's got to be between 2 and 4%. Well, I mean, it's a little high now, but on average, if you take away the coronavirus issue, on average, they're right in the sweet spot. We want them where they need to be, is right there. So what they do is they'll increase in increments, and then they watch how inflation and watch how the economy is affected. If everything is balanced and they keep going, and there's a need to increase it, or there's a pressure against the dinar to increase in value, then they'll increase it a little bit more. You know what I mean? So just we'll just keep an eye on it. That's what you want to do. But you don't want them to delete the zeros off the currency. Not now. If they delete it off, this is the difference between them deleting before they change the exchange rate. And I just told you guys, take all your dinar, add them up, take off the three zeros, then multiply that times 322. That's what you'll get. Versus if you just hold on to your dinar now and they keep going up in these little increments and they don't delete the zeros, well, then you get a whole lot more money back. How many trillions for what? What are you asking me? How much currency is still out? That's a good question. And that's something that they've been trying to figure out. It's not in the trillions. No way. A big chunk of their current people don't remember this. And that's why people go, well, there's so much of the Iraqi dinar in circulation. That's not true. There was like a year and a half where Iraq was buying currency off the open market and destroying it. They're spending like a billion or 1.45 billion buying Iraqi dinars and taking it out of the public's hand. They didn't necessarily destroy it, but they took it out of the public's hand. So there's not that much out there in circulation. Did the United States pay crude oil and dinars to Iraq? No, U.S. dollars. That's why it's called the greenback dollars. They use U.S. dollars for trade. That's one thing. If Iraq can manage to get away from and start doing, oil sales in Iraqi dinars, oh man, that is really going to boost the value of the Iraqi dinar big time. Trillions held by oil companies. I don't know something. Well, of course, if you're going to do trade or sales with oils, it makes sense that they might have some dinars in there for one reason or another, but they use U.S. dollars for now. Saudi Arabia allowing China to use the yuan, Russia to use the ruble. That's a major event, when it comes to trade, because that's truly de-dollarizing. You can say you're de-dollarizing all you want, but if you still have to use the US dollars in order to do oil purchases, and that's your reserve dollar, then you're not really getting away from the dollar. But once Saudi Arabia allowed other countries to start using their own currencies, that was big. And so if Iraq could start going down that path where they're forcing people to use Iraqi dinars, yeah, that's what you want, man. You definitely want that to happen. That would definitely strengthen the Iraqi dinar. Hi, Mama B. Pimpy, there are 40,000 notes in a box, 25,000 of boxes outside of Iraq. There are what, 400,000 notes in a box? I don't know how many, to be honest with you, is out in boxes. I remember one time I was trying to calculate it. I took the number that they had in circulation, and I can account for a big portion of it. But I think there's like, oh, good Lord. Yeah. I think 27% of it could not be accounted for, which is not a small amount. And the reason why that's a concern is when ISIS was, taking over Iraq, they stole a lot of currency. Although the big portion of it they found buried underneath the bank, and then the bank got flooded. So they found the currency, but it was destroyed. But the fact that there's so much dinar out there, that's another reason why they're hesitant to change the rate in any significant ways with the current currency, because you could be enriching terrorist people without even realizing it, or nefarious people too. So that's something that they have to be careful with. So to me, it makes sense that they lop the zeros off first before they make any major changes to the exchange rate. But for us to benefit from it, we definitely want it to go up in small increments. Absolutely. What do I make of the parallel market in Iraq? Eminem always says it's illegal, but it's not. But it's right there in the open. Yeah, it is. It's a black market. It's a legal market. That's what they're talking about. So the parallel market is the black market or the illegal market. So there is such a demand for the dollar that they're willing to give you more dinar than the bank is for your US dollars. And what happens is you're usually that's where you get a lot of these they're funneling money. Iraq wants the US dollars, and Iran wants the US dollars. In 2018 or 19, they started doing trade with and getting payments from Iraqi dinars. And then they would take the dinars and sell them in auction windows and get US dollars that way. Well, the US got hip to that and put a stop to it, which left Iran with a ton of Iraqi dinars. And that's why you have a currency crisis in Iraq, because the bulk of their currency is over in Iran and they can't do anything about it. So I'm sure Iran is sending a bunch of people over with the Iraqi dinars buying US dollars, except for there's not a lot of US dollars out there to really make a difference. So that's why you see the black market going up and up and up, because the demand for the US dollar continues to increase and people are willing to give you more Iraqi dinars for those US dollars. And again, plus the process that they use right now, the protocols and everything they have to go through, it's taking too long. And so businesses are getting impatient. And what are they doing? Well, they go to the black market. So there's a lot of people on the black market competing for those US dollars. And that's what's driving the value of the black market up, or the parallel market. Halliburton, Exxon, KRP got paid in dinars. What do you mean got paid in dinars? You mean like, are they working in the country and they got paid in dinars? I don't understand the purpose of that, but that might be the new thing that they're doing now. But there's no need to do that. They'll take US dollars. They don't want the dinars unless they need them for some kind of other purpose. But other than that, no business is going to take the dinars. Okay? Nobody at all. That doesn't make sense. Find your happy place. Find your happy place. What does it say? Fund your happy place says not. Oh, is that the name of the person? Says not illegal, and she uses it. What's not illegal? The parallel market? That's exactly what it is. The parallel market. It's the black market. And if the Iraq Central Bank is trying to close the gap, why do you think they're punishing people for using the black market? It's not because it's illegal. She says she's in Iraq. Maybe she's not aware of it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for checking in. The black market, you can just Google it and find out. Just say, is the black market in Iraq illegal? So here's why it's illegal. Think about this. If the bank is trying to control inflation, is trying to control the exchange rate of their dinar, and trying to establish confidence in the dinar, establish confidence with businesses around the world that investing in Iraq is a good investment, then why would it be okay for them to also have a parallel market in which people are getting more dinars per dollar? That devalues the currency. The black market devalues the Iraqi currency, because more people would rather go to the black market than they would to go to the bank and use the official rate. So if you had a choice, let's say you're there in Iraq and you have $100, would you rather go to the bank and get 1,320 dinars for every dollar, or would you rather go to the black market and get 1,550 dinars for every dollar? Now, it doesn't sound like it's a huge amount of money, but it is over there. That's the difference. So they definitely, it's an illegal market. It's not like a regular. Why don't they shut it down? They're trying. So it's not like they're there, at a store and they got signs and stuff. That's not what it is. Don't get me wrong, there's places that do it, but it's not that out in the open. Okay. You got to find people, because you go to jail for that. All right. So you got to find people who are willing to exchange. And the funny thing is, the truth of the matter is, you're right. It's not like they're really hiding. You can go out and see street vendors with wads of Iraqi dinars and they're selling it. So I guess they don't have the resources to go down and clear out all the street vendors, would be my guess. But yeah, that is illegal. But it's not like they got a store. You got street people who do it out there in the front. I've seen them out there. So yeah. So what to say for those of you who hold on to Dinar, 1% of less than 10% of the public are aware of this. That or they just don't have any faith that what's being told out there is real. And I don't blame them. You know, these people didn't have to choose to use these hokey stories and try to lure people in. It's either they know and they're just lying and misleading, or they're absolutely oblivious to how the exchange rate and how inflation and all that affects Iraqi dinar. And that's why they tell you these stories, because they don't know. If they wanted to get rid of the illegal market, why wouldn't they just increase the volume of the currency? Because then you're dealing with inflation and then you're devaluing your currency. So the more you make of that currency, the less valuable it becomes. So think of supply and demand, supply and demand. You don't want to make your currency. And now people go, well, why don't they flood them with more US dollars? Sure, that helps close the gap. But if the people in the black market, if their goal is to get the US dollar, all you're doing is helping them increase the black market. I mean, like, number of people willing to be in the black market, I guess is a good way to put it. So if Iraq is paid with the petrodollar to the tune of hundreds of millions, how are they supposed to purchase goods without using the US dollars? That's just it. The greenbacks, they use that currency. So the money doesn't come, just so you're aware, you guys, it doesn't go into the central bank of Iraq. It doesn't go to the government of Iraq. When they make oil sales, every penny of that comes here to the United States. We hold it in our bank. And then as they request US dollars, we either honor it or we don't honor it. And because of that, it can affect their market and it can affect their exchange rate. So yeah, I mean, if Biden wants to put the clamps down on Iraq, he could do it just by refusing to give them US dollars. So that's why we need them to get out of these sanctions and hopefully take control of their own reserve dollars and their own gold and have the money go to them, because right now the United States controls all of it. When they pass a budget, you know what I mean? When they pass a budget, they have to let us know over here what their plans are, and then we agree or we tell them to make changes. So they need permission. I've spoken about this before. I was like, yeah, it sucks, but that's the predicament that they're in. And a big portion of that is because the people in the government are the same people that's been there for 20 years. They just rotate positions. So you'll have Maliki's prime minister, Body is going to be the president, so-and-so is going to be this one. Next election, they switch. So Maliki goes from being prime minister now to president, and Body comes over and he becomes a prime minister. See what I'm saying? So the same corrupt people have been there for 20 years. And, these are the coordinated framework. They keep switching the name of their group around, but these are Iranian-backed puppets. What do you think they're going to do with that money? They would just send it over to Iran. And what does Iran do with it? Fund all kinds of terrorist groups. So they're not going to do it. It's not, you got to do something about that government. But there can be a scenario in which they allow it to go up in increments. So that's why I make videos telling you guys the truth. And everyone goes, you're just negative. It's not negative. How is that negative? How is what I'm saying to you negative? Can anybody in there tell me in the comments, what did I say that was negative? I'm curious to see. So I'm explaining to you the issues that Iraq has to deal with so that we can see the Iraqi dinar grow in value. And people know, man, think about what happened in Kuwait. Two different stories, two different situations. And I made videos explaining about the Kuwait, wealth fund and why they have the ability to keep such a valuable currency versus where Iraq is. Well, Iraq has more oil. It doesn't make a difference. It's not just about the oil. Okay. It's more to it than that. Well, what about the World Trade Organization? What about them? Well, they can't get into the World Trade Organization with the current exchange rate. Yes, they can. They can't have a program rate. They have to have a program rate. That's the requirement of the World Trade Organization. And I showed you guys, don't make it up. I show you guys the receipts. Here we are. We're in the World Trade Organization. One of the requirements is that Iraq have a stable, sturdy currency, but they also have to have a program rate. People are not explaining to you guys what a program rate is because they don't know. They think a program rate is a fixed rate. Well, it is, but a program rate is the exchange regime that you choose. So if you choose to have a program rate in which your currency is allowed to float, then that's the one you choose. If you choose a program rate where it's fixed, that's what you choose. But for them to go, we need to get rid of the program rate. You're never going to get rid of a programmed rate. Okay. You just select a different one. You want a free floating. In order to be really on the Forex, you're going to have to be able to float. Okay. Need to let the markets dictate what's going on with your currency. From IMF, the parallel rate is a market solution to a problem created by the exchange rate policy. Yeah, a black market. In your opinion, which is going to explode first, silver or the dinar? Oh, good question. Right now, with everything that's going on, look, these people that are in power, they are going to manipulate the markets as long as they can. They keep finding new and clever ways to just lie to the American people. We are solvent, you guys. Our Federal Reserve has 8 trillion in debt. We are bankrupt. But does it look like we are? Does the stock market reflect that? No. People are out there just doing their thing every day like nothing's going on. But they haven't thought about the fact that we have $8 trillion on the books. Where's that money coming from? Do you see what I'm saying? We're insolvent. We're bankrupt. They just keep printing money, sending it out there to you guys. Look, we have this strong currency. No, you don't. You're just lying about it. You're manipulating it. I mean, I'm happy to see more people talk about it. It's like the stock market I told you guys earlier. Biden taking jabs at Trump, saying about the record highs, but it's not real stock market numbers. They're manipulating the numbers. Argentina approves Bitcoin for their official currency. People are talking about Bitcoins, getting excited. Don't get me wrong. El Salvador's economy stabilized after using Bitcoin. All right, you guys. Remember how IMF was warning everybody, oh, no, this isn't going to be good. Stay away from the Bitcoin. Their economy is not going to recover. They stabilized. As a matter of fact, they're on the upswing. So they're doing very good under Bitcoin. Okay. I love you, Pimpy, and I appreciate you. I'm becoming Pimpy rich. I appreciate that. So if I had to choose which one's going to, oh man, that's a hard one because I do believe that Iraq is close to. So if I had to say explode, silver's going to explode first because I still think that Iraqi dinar is going to go up in increments. Not want it to be slammed at the 322 rate. And I spent 2 years in Afghanistan and found coming out of Iraq, few those who are holding dinar, those with the rates going to be, you change the exchange. Even if I knew, I couldn't tell you. That's why you have to go. While my insider says this, you don't have an insider. They're just lying to you. Do you understand what kind of effect it would have on Iraq? Think about this. Let's pretend like there's a bunch of people who know what the exchange rate's going to be and when it's going to happen. And they start sharing it with everybody. And everybody absolutely has faith in it. Sure, then you go and you exchange it. Now the currencies turn around and go back into the country. Okay? Not talking about, so it's no, they're not going to tell people. That's like insider trading. Close as people have been saying for 20 years ago. Yeah. Am I breaking up again? Sorry about that, guys. I don't know. I don't know if it's something I selected or what's going on, but usually that starts to happen. And then all of a sudden I see this thing on the bottom. It says about the ad. So look, a lot of people have been asking me, why am I not talking about gold and silver? There was a reason for it. So I apologize. I'm excited now to be able to start talking about it again. So, and I'm getting ready to put together a video explaining to you guys, talk about timing, because everything that's going on right now, you definitely want to be invested into the precious metals as far as cryptos are concerned. So here, let me just say this. You're going to see the stock market and cryptocurrencies really start to look how great the stock market is doing. Although nobody's hardly working, nobody can afford to buy toilet paper. You know, it's just bullshit. Don't trust those numbers, but take advantage of them. If you're going to be able to take advantage of them, get in there and get out. Don't keep holding and holding till you lose everything. Make sure as you go along, you guys take out take 10,000 out. You know what I mean? Take 10,000 out, because now then you're even. So even if you lost it all, you didn't lose anything. And then it gets to another 20, take another 10,000 out. Now you got profits. You see what I'm saying? If you keep holding in there going, oh, I'm going to get so much more. And then all of a sudden overnight, and everybody that has crypto has a crypto. By the time you get in there, there's a huge hit to the money that you have in there. So just be smart. Okay. And look at, even Robinhood was down. So just be smart. Take out your profits as you go along. Okay. Pimpy, do you know any of the gurus personally? I talked to Nader. I talked to Carl from Currency with a Twist. I've talked to Melanie before, but I guess I'm not on her Christmas list anymore. As far as Mark Z, look, I know of these people, but I don't know them personally. I've been in the Iraqi war. I want to believe, but it's been so long that I lost faith. I will keep. There's a lot of people who've lost faith in, because these other people have been lying to you for so long. Now it becomes exhausting on your emotions. Highs, lows, highs, lows. It's gonna happen next week. Oh, you're excited, then down. Next week, oh, you get excited, and you come down. Just stay grounded, man. My channel is the grounded channel. You guys know this. Sure, a lot of people hate me. They keep saying, you're talking negative about it, Pimpy. What is negative? Tell me, what am I saying that's negative? Nothing. You mean I'm telling you the truth? That's not going to happen next week? That's going to go up in increments? There's not going to be a reinstatement? It's going to take a while to do it? We got to pay attention to what's going on with inflation. That's why I'm taking the time to explain all these things to you. And that's what I was from his videos. He's trying to say, look, these people are misleading you. They're lying to you. And yeah, he did a video about me. But like he said, look, Pimpy's at least learning and teaching you guys. Okay? And I'm willing to learn. I'm not saying I know it all, but I absolutely know what's going on with the Iraqi dinar. I've challenged those guys a million times. You guys want to come on my show, or I can go on yours, and we can have a respectful discussion, okay, about it. Explain to me how you came up with your information. Don't give me this, my special intel Dakota ring wearing special handshake friend told me, that pulls a wand out of his butt and sprinkles unicorn pixie dust. No. I don't want to hear you sign an NDA. Oh, I can't tell you. Who's your secret? Oh, I can't tell you. That's all bullshit, you guys. Because when things don't happen, guess who they blame? Their secret intel person told them. Eminem's minions are coming. Yeah, I actually have a field day with them. I'm not even kidding. They try so hard to talk shit, but not just that. They're trying to make their points, and they get blasted. I said, that's the same thing that'll happen to your content creator if they come on here and try to debate me. They'll get annihilated. That's why you never see them come on here. That's why I challenge them on my videos. Here you go. Mark and Militia Man claim that the deletion of the zeros means taking it off the exchange rate. Where's your proof? Where's your real documentation? I showed you mine. I went and showed you studies that tell you what the deletion of the zeros are. It's a redenomination. It has nothing to do with the exchange rate. Now, I showed you mine. Where's yours? They'll never, never show you those things because they're wrong. They need this to keep their subscribers going, to give them hope. But that's what I'm talking about. You know, PJ up here said it best. I'm exhausted. A lot of people are exhausted because you've been listening to them lie to you for so long. You know what I mean? Your emotions can't take it anymore. Like, look, I'm sour now on a whole investment when there was no reason for you to be. Just like he said, just put it to the side. Don't listen to all those pumpers. Stay grounded. That's the best thing you can do. You know what I mean? I'll take some smoke. Jeffrey. I'll take some smoke on my ass. All right. Anyways, you guys, that's it. Look, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I will start doing gold and silver videos. There was avoiding it for a reason, but I don't have to worry about it anymore. Eminem reminds me of Bubbles from the I had a picture of Delbert that just looks just like him. Can you tell some words about Jesus on your website? Oh my God, people have been. But here's the thing: when I start talking about that, then I sound like those other content creators are like, God told me that the exchange rate's going to change next week. That's not what I talk about. I don't mind talking about my relationship with God. I really don't. But my relationship and the things that I learned are personally for me, because when you build a relationship with God, if I'm being honest, everything that you experience and go through with your relations is for your personal growth. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. But somebody wanted me to start a whole separate channel saying, no, talk about over there, God, and keep it from here. So that might be something I do. Okay. So why do you think the currency does not go down in increments, but it has to go back up in increments? Well, hey, DMAC, the truth of the matter is there's I'm not saying it's only going to go up in increments. It could go down. I mean, they were recently talking about devaluing the currency again because of the oil prices. As soon as I said that, everybody's like, oh, Pimpy don't know what he's talking about. No, not me. Here's an article. And I showed you guys an article. They said they were talking about it. Do I think they're going to do it? No. Are you kidding me? After the hell they caught last time? No, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Not going to happen. So I don't think they're going to devalue, but at least I should bring that to your attention. Don't you think you should be aware of this? If I know about this news, good or bad, don't you think I should bring it to your attention? So don't shoot the messenger. I'm saying, look, these are things that are being considered over there, good or bad. These things affect the currency, good or bad, because our whole thing is about being invested in that currency. All right. We want to know what's going on. If you are invested in cryptocurrencies, you just want to hear people all day long going, it's going to go to the moon. It's going to go to the moon. When they see something that says, well, it's going to crash tomorrow, and they don't share it with you. See what I'm saying? So increments. We don't want a reinstated rate. We don't want them to delete the zeros. We want to go up in increments. If they delete the zeros, we're screwed. Okay? We're screwed. That's not changing the exchange rate. That's changing the denomination of the currency. All right. Anyways, that's it, you guys. I appreciate you again. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And look, I like when we have this interaction back and forth. And people have been asking me to do a whole lot more live. I will. Pimpy, you're the only one that explains things perfectly. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, you guys. Look, instead of me just telling you, let me show you. That's what I'm trying to do. So the inflation is the biggie. That's the biggest concern for the government and that country. Is the steps that they take going to affect inflation? Because then that affects the citizens, and that's a no-no. Anyways, that's it for now. I'm checking out. I'll catch you later. I am out.